Welcome back to another episode of the Offer Mojo Show, where we talk about crafting, scaling, marketing, and selling aligned and profitable offers. I'm really excited for our guest today. I met Natasha probably about a year and a half ago, and we connected I think through the DMs. Like, honestly, I can't even remember. I just know you introduced me to the Entrepreneurship community, and we have just stayed in touch. I have followed Natasha's work for a year and a half or more and absolutely love what she is doing on the LinkedIn platform, which is what we're going to be talking about today, is how can we build our personal brand on LinkedIn and use LinkedIn to sell more of our offers. Obviously, there's a real art and a science to that. And it's not just as simple as like posting our, about our offers on LinkedIn and thinking someone's just going to magically like sign up. So I want to do a formal introduction of Natasha so that you all know who we're talking to today. So Natasha Walstra is the founder of Nearpoint Strategies. She helps entrepreneurs, tech founders, and sales leaders turn LinkedIn from a chore into a powerful tool for connection and growth, not by shouting louder, but by showing up with purpose through personal branding that actually feels personal, with a human-first approach to relationship-driven social selling. So let's dive in. Let's let the listeners know, Natasha, just a little bit of like your backstory of like where you came from and how you got to being like this LinkedIn strategist and coach.
Gosh, that was an amazing intro, Lori. Thank you. And I'm so excited to be here as well. So my LinkedIn story or backstory, I guess, and how I got into this world was never intentional. Like I honestly didn't really know what personal branding was until a few years ago, which is kind of crazy to think about that now. But my background is actually in sales, and I had landed a job as a SDR, which is a sales development representative, where you have to cold call.
Yeah. My worst kind of nightmare
Mine
job.
too. It was, I don't know what I was thinking. I actually had been applying all over the place, and this is really the only job I got. And it's where you have to cold call, smile and dial, 100 dials a day. And
God.
They literally had a mirror in front of my desk that I had to sit and smile as I called people because they can hear you smiling supposedly as you're calling. Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh my God. Okay.
It was brutal. I'm an introvert. I used to be super shy as well. So that combination in that position was quite literally the worst position for me. But I'm very competitive.
I can see that.
And I was like, how do I hit my numbers but not cry every day? And so that's actually how I discovered, okay, maybe I can use LinkedIn as a way to connect and network and then warm call. And it turned out people more receptive to that. So this was almost about 10 years ago that was my first position in that space. And it just kind of evolved from there. I had landed my next position in the technical 3D printing world. Nothing that I understood or knew, but here I was speaking to VPs of engineers and CTOs. And I'm like, shoot, like, why should they trust me? And so I started to create content and share, what our clients and partners were up to and leveraging credibility by association, and somehow started to like build this presence when I'd go to events and people started to know who I was. And it just it was really cool to see like what happens when you start creating content and become top of mind for your network and connect with them and then nurture those relationships. And then like magically, it is kind of magically, sales ends up happening. Opportunities come about because of doing this type of activity. And it's been really fun to build it out since then.
And so you finally just kind of like just left the corporate space and said, I'm just going to like go out on my own and try to build a business using LinkedIn. Is that how it worked?
Not quite. So there's a couple more steps and twists and turns in between that. So what actually got me into the world of personal branding and thought leadership initially was I landed a position as director of sales at Forbes Books. And so not that I knew book publishing, but former manager and mentor of mine joined as CRO. And so she brought me on, and she saw how I understood the power of business development and thought leadership, personal branding, because of the work I was doing on LinkedIn and with Forbes books. And like, don't get me wrong, I totally drank the Kool-Aid. I thought it was the best thing ever. I'm like, what better way to increase thought leadership than by becoming a published author, which I still think is amazing. And it definitely is such a powerful way to go. With Forbes books, so specifically, it is a hybrid publisher at the end of the day. So there's a high cost associated with it, as you can imagine, like anything with Forbes.
Sure.
And so I had moved across country for it and really loved what I was doing. But I also recognized the authors and leaders that I was signing, they had spent their careers building their businesses, but had very little digital footprint. So when they launched their book, it was silence, crickets. And it's not obviously like, if you build it, they will come. And so
oh my God, I can so relate to that. I actually wrote a book in my first business, and I drank the Kool-Aid. Like, I went the whole self-publishing route, like, launched my book, like paid all kinds of money to have it printed, got boxes of books, and I don't know. I guess I thought just magically, like, I'm an author. Like, people are just going to like buy my book now. Like, so far from the truth. And I didn't realize like how hard it was to market.
It really is. Actually, I was talking to an author about it today, and I was like, congratulations on your book launch, because it just went live yesterday. And he's like, yeah, I think the hardest part though is now. It's about to start. It's like writing the book is one thing, but now actually getting it out to the world. But it's the same thing with a book launch, a podcast launch, a service, product, whatever the thing is. Like, you have to be talking about it and getting, and telling the world like what's coming and teasing it out. Otherwise, like, it will lie flat when you actually launch it, because how is anyone going to know about it if you don't talk about it? So
got it. So you kind of transitioned. Starting working with those thought leaders, those authors, and learned like the power of personal branding, and then just kind of decide to launch.
Again, there's a couple more twists and turns between there too. I thought like big picture strategy and thought leadership was like that next step that they were missing. But once it was somebody, came up to me and was like, can I just work with you on this LinkedIn stuff? And that's what really sparked me thinking like, oh, I actually think I have something here. I didn't realize that most people weren't using LinkedIn, right? Like, I had just been like consuming it already for 10 years of my career, thinking that was normal.
Right.
And it was that tactical piece.
I'm an OG on LinkedIn too. So, and a lot of people don't use it.
Yeah, exactly. So, it was one of those things. And then I joined Entrepreneurship, and I was so inspired by the women that was in this. Like, I had never been around other female founders or entrepreneurs. And at the time I was working at this agency, and it just made me realize like, I can totally do this on my own, and I'm going to do it. So I did.
I love that. I think what I really love about it too is that the market demand kind of like landed in your lap. It's just like, oh, okay, I can create an offer around this because people are actually like asking me for this. That doesn't always happen in entrepreneurship, but you got lucky and it did. And I want to talk about like, there's a story that you've shared on LinkedIn, in your newsletter, everywhere, that just is completely fascinating to me. And I think it really illustrates like the power of LinkedIn for selling your offers. You've recently had a baby. I know that. How old is your little
He'll be 10 months
now?
tomorrow, which is so crazy.
Oh, wow. That's wild. So as you know, when we like are moms and we are pregnant and we go on to maternity leave, like becoming a new mom is like very, very demanding. And you've shared that during that time, like your pipeline, like just completely dried up. Tell us about that time and like what you did to like come out of that, and like how LinkedIn like transformed your business during that time.
Yeah. And it's nice to talk about it now that I'm out of it, because it was really tough during the time, I'll be honest.
Sure, I can imagine.
Yeah, exactly. And I think entrepreneurship in general is a bit of a roller coaster. Especially as coaches too. I think oftentimes we are sort of on that hamster wheel. But as you can imagine, when I had my son, who came 2 months early, and so I had to pause my business, had to like really like my world just stopped. Right. And I wasn't able to do anything. And like, yes, I had planned to be able to take some time off, but I am the breadwinner. And it was one of those things that financially we didn't have that luxury to take more time off, but then life told us otherwise. So
right. Life is good like that.
Exactly. And I think parenthood is like that as well, where like plan for whatever, but like that's not what's going to happen.
I always say entrepreneurship and parenting are the biggest like growth challenges for us. We will do more growing as individuals, human beings, through entrepreneurship and parenting,
and simultaneously, do it at
the same time.
There was I will say like this has been the craziest year because of all that, in a great way, and again in a great way now that I'm out of it and can see past like what was going on there. But it took me a second to get back into things. Like I started working pretty quickly with current clients, but I wasn't taking my normal calls. I wasn't doing outreach. I was kind of just doing surviving ultimately. And that's what a few months into that, I looked at my spreadsheet and I was like, well, I've got no money coming in soon. Like, holy shit. Yeah.
Oh boy.
And I really couldn't like recognize what was going on. I think again, I was experiencing some postpartum depression. I was overwhelmed. Sure. Imposter syndrome hit me, and like all the things where I was like paralyzed. I just forgot what I do. And that's actually what sparked the change. Was I was on a walk with my husband, and he looked at me and he's like, and again, at this point, like I was kind of in a dark place. Like my husband recently told me he thought I was like taking something because I wasn't smiling. I wasn't the bubbly person that I am. I was just like in this weird state. But he looked at me and he was like, well, how did you do it last year? Because I had scaled my business from 0 to 6 figures in 7 months, my first year in business, not even year. Right. And I looked at him and I was like, oh yeah, like this is literally what I do. Like I am teaching my clients how to do this exact thing. And yet I forgot that this is what I needed to do for me and that this is how I built my business. And so I like, from that moment on, like put my head down and started to re-engage with my community again and start to connect with people and reach out to my network that I like have these relationships with, but I just went dark on. And I like completely forgot that like, oh yeah, in order to do business, I need to have conversations.
Sure. That's a good starting point, right?
Yeah.
I used to be in that same camp of like, let me just build an offer and people will just come. Like, and it was mostly my mindset saying like, I hate sales. I'm going to avoid it like a plague. So I'm good at building offers. Let me just build offers, and I'm good at, creating content. And in the past, LinkedIn worked fine. My content worked fine for converting, clients. Today, that is not the case. I don't think LinkedIn like works quite that easily. There's more that you have to put into it, which we will talk about. So you ended up, I know, selling out your offers and just kind of like re-energizing your business, right?
It was like night and day, completely different, like what I was feeling. And I think a big part of it too was, speaking of mindset, like I think people could tell or feel the like probably desperation that I had at that moment. And a lack of confidence that I was feeling, because I stopped trusting in what I was capable of because I wasn't seeing the results, because I wasn't doing anything. So like as I was having conversations, they weren't going very well. And I think it was because I was emitting this like, negative energy. And then once like the momentum started and it all changed around, like it was really exciting time actually. And then it was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? This is a lot and I need to figure out how to scale now. So
No, exactly. Now I'm a new mom. My business is booming, and and I'm going crazy, and I'm dealing with postpartum depression. Right? I get it. Okay, so let's talk about like, who is LinkedIn good for? Because I think that a lot of people, the people that are not like really like actively using it, probably haven't spent a lot of time on the platform, or they're still in the mindset of thinking it's only for corporate. Like if you're selling to corporate, LinkedIn is great. Otherwise, like it's, it's just a stuffy, like professional platform. I don't agree with that, but let's hear from you on like who you feel like LinkedIn is ultimately really good for. There's a lot of platforms out there. You know what I'm saying? There's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's Threads, there's this, there's that, right? Why LinkedIn?
Well, okay. So first, who do I think it's good for? Anyone who's doing business, whether you own the business or selling for a business, it's great for that. It doesn't, I don't even think, I'll go to say like any industry even, it's great opportunity because so many people, well, 1 billion people have it. And so few people are actually creating any original content or being actively connecting and engaging with people, that like the opportunity for you to become the go-to expert in your industry within your network, especially, it's very real, right? Like it's so possible. You just have to understand how to do it and then be consistent with it. But I really do think regardless of industry, anyone who's doing business would excel on LinkedIn.
Okay. So let me just play devil's advocate for a minute because I hear this a lot. People will say LinkedIn is good for B2B. Instagram is good for B2C. Do you think that LinkedIn works for B2C businesses, like a health coach, for instance, that is selling to a consumer? A fitness coach or whatever that's selling to a consumer, like anyone who is selling to a consumer, their services.
Yeah, I definitely think so. It may not be like a health coach or a wellness clinician or someone that's selling like supplements as an example. I would say supplements is not what you'd want to be selling on LinkedIn, but the thought leadership, the credibility piece, that's going to lead to sales as well. So positioning you as the expert, as the authority in your industry is going to by default help with those other areas and get you clients, but like directly selling the product itself, no, like that doesn't make sense on there.
But okay, for services,
yeah, totally,
right?
Because your clients are on, LinkedIn. Because they're on there too.
Exactly.
And like, and you can actually get in front of them there versus Meta or Instagram, right? Where like it's really hard to get in front of them. Like, how are you going to find them? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You're right. It's very difficult. And like I always say, like, I mean, I work with, some health coaches, other kinds of coaches too. And I always say, don't ignore LinkedIn, because there's more people out there. Like, everybody is a human being.
Exactly.
Everybody has, right? It's like everybody has health challenges. Everybody has mindset issues. Everybody has certain things that just come with being a human being. So even if we're professionals that are on LinkedIn, it doesn't mean that we're not reading and engaging with content that matters to us as human beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And honestly, like, I bet you, like,
all right, so
B2B has actually probably gotten even harder on there because there's so much noise in that space. Whereas, like, as a health coach, like, how few people, especially if you're local or in this niche that you're in health coaching, like, you can seriously stand out in comparison to all other software tools that do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously I've curated my audience, but like I follow like so many different kinds of people and entrepreneurs that are in so many different varied spaces. So I just don't think that it's the corporate space only, B2B. I really think it's leaning more into what we're going to talk about is being very relationship driven. So, and we're all human beings that require and crave like connection relationships.
So, but that's the thing I think people forget about with LinkedIn is that we are humans and that there is a human on the other side of the screen. That's why I think so many people struggle with LinkedIn because they are pitching as if like it's not a human receiving it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the things that people are getting wrong on the LinkedIn platform that's creating like the frustration or the lack of results that they're trying to get.
I think especially those who've maybe been very active on Instagram or Facebook, where it's a lot more like direct promoting of your service or product. LinkedIn isn't about promoting your service or product directly like that. It's about showcasing your expertise and your credibility, building that thought leadership so that people can't not work with you, right? But you're not going to be, I'm not saying you can't ever promote things. Of course you can, but that's not your main posting. It's more of like showcasing, like, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm going to prove I know what I'm talking about by showing you the things that I'm doing, you know?
Okay. So if we're only putting out like thought leadership type content, that's, you know, maybe it's just like you said, like case studies, behind the scenes things that are going on, like showcasing like our expertise and sharing stories, you know, from whatever. Like, what is it? Like, what is the type of content then that actually like triggers someone to say, huh? And what are they looking at when they say, like, I'd like to work with that person? Like, oh, this is a person that I would like to connect with and work with.
So this is where I say no direct posting or promoting in the post itself. Caveat or like asterisk, but there's the PS and there's the comment in your post. That's where you can actually be promoting what it is you're doing. Because also at the same time, like if you don't talk about how people can work with you, how are they going to know how to work with you? Right. So you still need to be talking about it, but it doesn't need to be like flash front and center. Hey, this is what I'm doing. Again, every so often you can do that, of course. But what I'm seeing, what's working really well, and I see this, you know, it's how I've gotten other coaching or gotten to engage with other posts, is because I'm seeing in their PS or in their comment section, hey, by the way, I'm launching this group program, 3 spots left, or whatever that is. And like, that's how I sold out my group program 6 weeks in advance, was because I was talking about it only in my PS and my comment section. I actually meant to do a post about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I meant to do a full post on it, like, because I was kind of nervous about launching this thing and like announcing that I'm launching this, but I never needed to because I sold it completely in the PSs and the comments.
Wow. Like, okay, so now I've been doing like things like all wrong, obviously. Like I've been posting about like my new upcoming offer. And you know, obviously I guess people are probably not liking that, or on LinkedIn.
No, I'm saying you still can, like you still should.
No, maybe I'm ruining my reputation.
That's what I'm saying. Like you still can, of course, post about it. Like, don't get me, like, I'm not saying you can't ever do that, but it's not every post, right? Like you still also talk about what it is that you're doing and about your expertise and proving yourself in this space, right? So I'm not saying ever to not post about it, but in a way to do it every single day.
What you're saying is soft sell.
Yeah, and like once a week, maybe do a full on promotion. But then every single day, I was talking about it in either the comments or the PS. I mean, they're basically interchangeable there, right? But that's how I did it, and it worked really well. I got people to engage because the thing is that a lot of them, they're lurkers, right? They're the majority of people on LinkedIn. I think I read a recent stat. It was 64% of LinkedIn users log in weekly, but never like or comment. That's 600 million people are just watching. And imagine like if for us, it's hard, who are active on LinkedIn are struggling sometimes getting into the DMs and doing stuff like, yeah, we understand commenting and stuff now, but imagine for somebody who's not doing anything, how are they ever going to know to like feel comfortable to take action with you, right? Like it's really hard for people to initiate conversations in real life, let alone on this platform that they are so unfamiliar with, and that feels awkward. And so however you can make it so easy for them to take that next step with you is what you want to do. And that's how you can kind of softly, nudgingly do it in those two areas.
Okay, so you have had good success. Okay, you have had really good success on LinkedIn. You know, obviously, you're in the perfect place to sell your offers because you're a LinkedIn, you know, expert, right? And so obviously people who are on LinkedIn want to become LinkedIn experts and want to like have the same kind of success as you. I guess let's talk about like someone like myself or somebody else that's not really a LinkedIn person. And you know, maybe people are looking for help with offers. Maybe they're not. If someone is not reaching out to you in DMs, right? So, maybe for you, like you post content and your content is really, 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 really good. So don't get me wrong. It's amazing, thought leadership. And you put a PS and maybe someone DMs you, right? And asks, how can they work with you or how can they connect with you or whatever. Is that the way it's working for you? Because I think that is the perception that a lot of the gurus on LinkedIn are putting out there. If you're writing really good content, people will land in your DMs and want to work with you. So when there's people like myself, who I feel like I write pretty decent content, I mean, I don't by any stretch of the imagination think it's like bad at all. And I'm not getting like direct DMs to like, to just sign up with me. If that's not happening, is it the content, or is it that there are other strategies that need to be taking place on LinkedIn to develop the relationships that turn into eventually clients?
That's a really great question, because and I appreciate you saying that about my content, because funny enough, like I don't necessarily see like it sounds so silly because I know I'm technically a content creator, but I don't see myself as that, because writing is not necessarily my area of expertise at all, right? Sales, business development, that's my background. Okay. For me, I see content as a necessary evil to have conversations. And not that I think content's evil, but it's hard for me. Like that is not my area. So I actually don't spend all my time trying to I'm never going to be an expert copywriter. And I don't think it's never happened for me either necessarily, where I'm just getting this flow of leads coming in because of my content. That's silly. Like that's okay. That's the thing. Okay. And I recognize that. And like, I probably could do more to like learn copywriting better and become a better writer. But for me, I focus on the conversations behind the scenes. So the people that are DMing me from those PSs are people that I've been nurturing or having conversations with behind the scenes for some time. Yes, I do get some random people reaching out to me, and I always really appreciate when I get a booked call from Second Degree Connect that like saw a comment I made from random stuff like that like, yes, I love it when that happens, of course. But like, am I going to depend on that? Hell no, because I don't think that's the truth. And honestly, like even top creators, I know, I think you follow Darren McKee. I think I've seen you comment on his he and I chatted last year, I followed him. He, has 160,000 followers, and he still sends out 50 DMs a day, right? Like even top creators are sending out DMs. Wow. Like you can't just expect people to come to you just because of your great content. Like it's not going to happen.
But that's what the gurus will tell you. Like they will tell you, if you're not getting clients and you're not, then you're not writing good content. And that's discouraging for someone who is newer on LinkedIn, or someone like myself who like considers myself a good writer. Probably a horrible social seller for sure. I don't have time, but it's discouraging for people like us that feel like we're being consistent, that feel like we're doing a decent job on LinkedIn, but we're not like creating all these clients and leads that are coming just from our content. So I just want to like dismantle like that myth and that belief that is the way LinkedIn works, because it doesn't.
You've heard me say this probably. I am on LinkedIn to get off of LinkedIn and build relationships. And I recognize like that's not going to be happening just for my content. Like there's a lot of people writing, is a lot of people writing great content, right? And also just getting in front of the right people, that's like, it's hard, but people don't take action. There's so many people lurking, right? It is really about initiating those conversations behind the scenes, whether it's through the comments, through the DMs, through communities, that offline to online, online to offline. Like that's the whole stuff that I focus so much on, especially with my clients, of the like genuine building relationships piece. Like that's what actually leads to real results. I, again, being that I'm in this space, I probably should be better at writing and figure out how to make my posts more consistent, whatever the thing is. But like
your content is totally fine. I read your content like all the time. It is totally fine. It is very engaging. It's very well written. It talks about like audience problems. I mean, it's good. So
thank you. Well, I appreciate that.
But
and one of the things too, like a couple of points here, if I remember them now, there are like these top gurus or top creators that post something, like they literally could post like Tuesday on it as a post and it will get hundreds of likes because they've been doing this like for years, where that LinkedIn doesn't exist anymore anyways. Right. And that's one thing to be thinking about. The other part too is like, if you are getting hundreds of likes or even, in the hundreds, thousands, let's not even talk about that, but hundreds, like that means you're either in a paid bot group or you're spending all day on the platform engaging with people and not serving clients or prospects. So it's not a good sign if you see all that. That means that they have way too much time on their hand to be engaging, truly.
Okay. All right. Good. Now that we've cleared that up. Oh my
Sorry,
God.
I'm a tangent here.
So I know it's fine. I guess what I want to talk about is what's the difference between like social selling? I know you talk a lot about social selling, like versus like regular sales. So if we've kind of cleared up that, okay, yes, you need to create content. Yes, you need to develop thought leadership and put it out on the platform. You can't expect to like not be on the platform like at all, never create like any content and, like get any kind of engagement, right? That's just not going to happen. So you do have to build, I think, like you said, your personal brand, your thought leadership. But like you said, you've got to move from there to the DMs, which I think is kind of where the social selling like starts. Is that right?
For me, I see social selling as all of that part of it, right? It's the content, it's the nurturing and engaging, commenting on their stuff or their company stuff, right? Like that for me is part of social selling. I don't, and actually this was something I didn't realize that was like the system, right? Because I'm like, social selling, that includes that personal brand, the content piece, all the things that we're talking about here already, like that is part of the system. I think once you get into the DMs, like, yes, they're like more technically speaking, I think people would say like voice notes and videos and doing that type of more like social, literally selling. But I think that's just too narrow sighted to leave it as just that, like, because that's the thing here. A lot of sales professionals are trying to social sell now, thinking that's all they need to do, but they don't create any content or do any or have any presence. And then that doesn't work either. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like that there's still good point. It's still not working that way, or reverse, where like people are just creating content thinking that, posting and praying, thinking it's going to happen, but they're not doing any of the conversations behind the scenes. It's the combination of both content and conversations that is social selling. And that's where the magic really happens, in my opinion.
I love that. All right. So here's a question that I have, and I know a lot of people have this question. How much time, and I guess this is going to be a loaded question, so we can like break it down because I know people have the same issues. How much time do we need to spend on the platform every day engaging with people? And how do we know like who to engage with in a meaningful and strategic way? And how do we move into the DMs in a meaningful way? How do we like determine like who we should talk to? Like the only time I'm having DMs based on time, because I'm spread between too many platforms, is like, I don't know, like maybe I've connected with someone offline, right, in a networking group, and I brought them online into LinkedIn. And so then I like maybe talk to them for a few minutes to learn a little bit more about them in the DMs. So I kind of like go backwards. Like I'm not going like finding people on LinkedIn and then deciding, oh, let me get into their DMs, like, because it feels so cold to me. And I know people are like pushing back on like all these DM people that are like ruining it for all of us. You know, they're just cold pitching in the DMs. And so a lot of people have like their guard up, like, you're trying to sell me something. And so they don't want to just have like a natural conversation. So I know that was like a million questions packed into one.
It's good. I appreciate it. So I love the way you're doing it, because I think people think they need to go on LinkedIn to find new people and to pitch them. Like, that's what they envision what LinkedIn is. But I think a better way of doing it is by taking what you're doing in real life and bringing that onto the online world and start nurturing those relationships that way. So I think, like, for me, it's split, right? 50% of the people I'm talking and engaging with are people that I've met through communities, very strategically in the right places, and hanging out with people that either serve my clients or potentially are my clients, right? And I'm trying to nurture and build those relationships. So I spend the majority of my time there, because I know that for me and what I do and who I'm serving, that is very fruitful for me. Obviously, not everybody has that luxury or has a community that is full of their ideal clients. So they have to do things a little bit differently, where they go on LinkedIn and find them and then have to nurture them and then kind of do the reverse, right? And then get them offline into Zoom or whatever. So it is finding what works best for you, right? Like, it is going to be different for each person. But if you're able to do it where you have different communities, or there's some sort of like trust signal or warm context that you can share to then continue the conversations online, that's going to be the way to go, because it's just a more human, natural way of doing things, right?
Yeah. For me, it's like, it has to be organic. Like, I don't know, like, if you know anything about like human design, but like, I'm too projector.
I just did,
Oh, that's amazing. Oh my God. Like, I personally find as a projector is that it's difficult, like, for me to initiate like conversations. Like, I do like way better when someone sends me an invitation to connect, like someone like sends me, like, they give me some type of a signal that they want to talk to me. Right? You know, like, I got a message today, you know, on Entrepreneurship, where the person said, oh, like, I saw your comment on this post, and like, I just wanted to let you know I'm in the same community as you, and I would love to have a coffee chat. Yes, let's do it. Like, my projector heart says, yes, you gave me, you know, I waited for the invitation. You gave me an invitation. I'm absolutely going to accept. I don't have a hunter mentality. And I've gone around and around in the past with my business coach, my former business coach and sales coach. And it was like, my energy does not allow me to just go out and start trying to find like random people on LinkedIn to connect with. Like, if I see someone and they make a comment and like I see their profile and I think, oh, wow, that person's really cool. Like, there's something about them that I really connect with. I don't have a problem with just like sending them a short DM and saying, hey, like, I saw that you're blah, 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 blah. That's really cool. It just has to be so organic and natural.
That's how it should be. You're doing it right then. Like, I'm serious. That's like, okay. You don't want to just randomly cold outreach people. Like, that's not going to feel good for either party. Like, it's funny. I was on a call with this manufacturing company I'm working with right now. That's a team of them. And it's so funny. It was like the perfect example. I think you'll appreciate this, because basically, like, somebody actually connected with him, and it was like a perfect fit for what they're trying to do. And so he accepts the connection request and then goes in and says, hey, I'm so-and-so, we offer this, that, and that. I'd love to explore how we can work together. And then didn't get a response. And so I asked him, I was like, well, what did you send? And he showed that to me. I was like, okay, what if you ran into her at the coffee shop? And he's like, actually, he's like, that happened to me today at the gym, or yesterday at the gym. I ran into someone that works at Sensata, and we started talking. I was like, exactly. how would you do that on LinkedIn now?
Yes.
You wouldn't have gone up to him and said, hey, by the way, we do this, that, and that. Like, you're
Right.
going to nurture that relationship because you'll see him at the gym every day. So like build up to it. Like, yes, it's a long game, quote unquote, but really it's not, because this is how you build relationships in real life. It takes a second. And so that's what it needs to be like. There is no shortcut to this at all. Like, yes, 5 years ago, pitch cycling used to work on there, but that's because nobody was doing that, and you could get in front of people that way. But that's just, we have such a growing distrust of everything these days that like our guard, I've talked about this, we're in the trust recession, right? Like, our guards are so high that you trying to get into someone's cold DM, it ain't gonna work.
Right. Yes, I agree. So I'm happy to know that. I just know personally I need to spend a little bit more time on the platform, and I need to make a decision. What platform are you going to focus on? Right? Like, I think that, for anyone who's been in the marketing space and been in the business space for a long time, we're often spread between multiple platforms, right? And it's hard. Like, we think, oh God, like if I just go all in on LinkedIn and LinkedIn only, like I could be missing people on Instagram or on Threads or whatever. But let's talk just okay, I think we've proven that LinkedIn can be a good place to be, right? And we've kind of uncovered some of the things that don't work on LinkedIn and some of the things that do work. Like, let's say someone's, been kind of a lurker, right, on LinkedIn for a while, and they're like, they listen to this and they think, I'm going to try LinkedIn. I'm going to try it. I'm not going to I don't want like some kind of like overwhelming, like I'll do this for 1 week and then stop type strategy. But like, what would be like the top 3 like strategies, doable strategies that you would recommend someone start with so that they don't like burn out, but they actually can get some traction?
The first thing really is to, it sounds kind of silly, I guess, like an obvious thing, but it's really important to make sure your profile represents who you are today. Like, it's that your profile you are proud of your profile. Because I think what happens is that I've had clients that actually didn't necessarily have a content problem. They had a I'm not proud of my profile problem. And so they weren't posting. And so they felt they were so nervous to get that first post out because it didn't represent who they are today.
Yes. It's kind of like a brand. It's just like, oh, I don't want to send anybody to my website because my website looks terrible. My brand, I hate my brand.
Like, this is the corporate version of me, and it's not representing who I am today. And so they just were paralyzed. And the second we put their profile like and got them super excited about it, she was posting every single day.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool.
That's number 1.
Profile. So optimize your profile and make it like very clear who you are, what your specialty is, who you work with. Make it proud, like visually, like even if you have to hire a graphic designer for your profile banner or whatever, but like you said, be proud of like knowing that if someone lands on your profile, that you're proud of it and it represents like who you are.
Even like, it's okay if you still have like, the pretty visual banner with like mountains and whatever, like your city background, like that's totally fine. What I really want to do is I want to be able to hear you on your profile like that. Like, I want to be getting to know you. So yes, visually, let's make it look good. But if you're not like in marketing, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that part too, like as a starting point. Right. But yes, number 1, let's make sure that it feels something that you're excited to show people it,
Sure. Okay.
Okay. Second thing is, I would start commenting first. I mean, I think you'll get a feel for like what other people are doing. You'll learn from that, like how to format stuff maybe, or get inspired of like what feels like your vibe, but like start to find your people on there and comment on their stuff. And then you can start posting. But the one thing that's really great about LinkedIn that's very different from other platforms is that your post lives longer on LinkedIn. Right? Like, unlike Instagram where
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Instagram, it dies after 24 hours. LinkedIn, this morning I woke up and I had, comments from a post from 2 weeks ago on my feed. Yeah.
I I did notice that, like with some of my content, it's like, okay, wait a minute, that's like not my current post that people are commenting on. That's like an old post.
And I see that in my feed. I'm seeing posts from a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And so, and so if you think about it too, then if you're posting twice a week, right, you have to remember too that most people are not posting. 99% of people are not posting, in fact, right? So within your network, you might be one of the more active people because most people aren't posting. So imagine if you're only posting still twice a week, you're going to be posting more than anyone else. And so when people in your network log on, they're still going to see your stuff from 2, 3 a week ago, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so optimize your profile, start commenting on other people to just start building relationships, getting a vibe, getting a feel for who your people are, how people are writing, how people are sharing, and then create like a content plan that's doable, that feels like, okay, I can stick to this, even if it's just a couple times a week. And then when you become a master, obviously you're going to take this off into the DMs, build relationships. That's how we ultimately like sell our offers anyway. It is by building relationships and, being in one-on-one like conversations with people in, Zoom calls or in person or whatever. And people get to know us and get to know like who we are, what we do, and what we offer.
Sounds so simple.
So speaking of offers, yeah, it sounds so simple. Exactly. And we know it's not, but it takes commitment. It definitely takes commitment. But speaking of offers, let's say someone wants to work with you. What is your offer? What does it look like to work with you?
Well, I just launching my first group program next month. So I have that as an offering, which is super exciting. So I've been doing one-on-one and then B2B teams. And starting October 15th, I will have my first group cohort. And it's very similar to my current offering, which I take people through the 3 phases of personal branding, content, and social selling. And it's kind of, I used to be just a coach, but I'm kind of part agency now because there are a lot of done for you components that I wanted to make it very easy for my clients to be able to move forward and get to that ROI piece, because there is so much to do that I was like, okay, how do we, the salesperson to me was like, we need to see ROI now. So how do I make that happen faster?
Right. Yes. Okay. And that's good. You know what I mean? I think done with you and done for you offers are coming back for a long time. People were like, DIY, take courses, learn whatever. I think a lot of people are looking for like, just do it for me. Like somehow make it easier for me.
Yeah, pretty much. And I recognize that. And like, obviously with AI now too, like there's a lot more I'm able to do for them that I'm like, it's so easy for me, especially because I'm like living and breathing this thing. Like, let me just dang do it for them. So I do.
Right.
And that's the first 2 parts I help with. And that's part of the done for you. The third piece, though, social selling, which literally means having conversations. I can't do that for you, right? I can't build relationships for you. So I coach you on how to go about doing that. But that's the part that I is the most fruitful, but you can't get there without those 2 other pieces.
Yeah. Makes sense. So, if you're wanting, I know personally, I am on Natasha's newsletter list, and it's amazing. I love her content. I love her social post. So how can people, if they just want to dip their toe in and get to know you a little bit better, like how can they connect with your newsletter?
On my LinkedIn profile, you can find it there. Of course.
Okay.
I actually don't. I launched my website not too long ago, and I don't even think I have a place to get you to go to my newsletter, which I need to fix that now that I'm saying this out loud.
Okay.
But yes, find me on LinkedIn, and you can subscribe to my newsletter.
Okay.
My newsletter's been fun.
There you go. That's your website,
exactly.
Right?
Well, my website was so bad for so long that I didn't want to send people there, so I made it. And honestly, you should think about your profile as a personal landing page.
Yes, I agree. So perfect. Go to Natasha Walstra on LinkedIn, connect with her. And yeah, I just encourage you to just give LinkedIn a try. Any other closing thoughts you want to say?
I mean, I think we covered so much today. This was awesome. It's so nice to talk with someone else who understands this crazy world of LinkedIn. It is intense. It can be, but like you can find the system that works for you, even if that's only 10 to 15 minutes a day. Will see results from that. It does compound, and honestly, you'll get excited because you'll start seeing results, and you might end up wanting to spend a little bit more time, but like there's a way to find a system that really does work for you that you will enjoy, and that's not a task, I promise.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Natasha. And does anyone ever call you Tasha?
It's a great question. Everyone from elementary school and my pre-college, everyone calls me Tasha. Yeah, my parents do. Everyone. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I it's like my sister-in-law. Her name is Natasha, but we call her Tasha.
Tosh. Yeah,
or
my parents call me Tosh.
like a lot. So yeah. So anyway, thank you again for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Okay.